You know, we're in a social climate right now where everything has to be an argument. Everything has to be a competition. Everything has to be a right or wrong. We have an ongoing gender war with men and women, even though we're supposed to be loving each other, taking care of each other, and uplifting each other. We're in a climate where if you bring forth issues of race or what I'm saying, gender identity, blah, 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 either the one side, the left side going super duper extreme, the right side going super duper extreme, where we can't just meet each other in the middle and just have these conversations. And this is why I'm talking about this conversation today. Originally the title of the video was going to be Black Women and World Championships, but then I really started to think about it. I'm like, women of color in general really have a big issue, in my opinion, with world championships, and specifically the WWE. I would say that AEW is so fresh and so new that, they haven't had a black women's world champion. The TBS championship is a mid-card championship. I know Jade Cargill and Willow Nightingale have held that title. But that's a mid-card championship. A shout out to Willow Nightingale for being the first um you know what I'm saying, to beat Jay Cargill, and Jay Cargill being the first, champion. So, we got it back to back essentially. But, the reason why I'm making this video is that I think we can really start to have these mature conversations without attacking one another, because they're going to be people who comment on this video say you make things about race, blah, blah, blah. But me having the conversation is not hurting you in a way. I'm not attacking people's whiteness. I'm not attacking white people. I'm attacking the business and the system of how the business is done with interacting with women of color and having the championship and being the world champion. And I'm going to, talk about some points that I have, and I think they're valid. I go by the name of Black Couch Booking. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're old to the channel, Couch Crew, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I welcome all conversations, all commenters. Let's just be respectful. Let's have this conversation, and let's support our ladies, because we need each other. We should love each other. And you know what I'm saying? We should all be able to eat. You know what I'm saying? We don't got to starve each other out here. We can work together. So what really made me think about this is that, Bianca Belair is a godsend. Like, she is Bianca Belair to me, and I've said this, I think she's the greatest black women's champion ever, because not only is she super duper talented, not only, is she just naturally gifted, a physical specimen, has charisma, has character, is a baby face that, what I'm saying, inspires the youth and sells and things like that. But her title reign out of all the black women, all women of color. I'll say all women of color, in my opinion, has been the best, the greatest. That 420 something day reign, I would say is the greatest championship reign for a woman of color. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, though, if it wasn't for Bianca Belair in recent years having that title reign, we really got to go back and think about how women of color have been treated with the championship, not just how many days they've held it, but the circumstances in which that they lost the title, and where do we go in the future. So let me show you guys something real quick. And you know what I'm saying? This is things that I brought up on this channel multiple times, but let's do it, right? Shout out to Cage match, right? Nia Jax is a perfect example I wanted to bring up, because a lot of people are going to talk about Nia Jax, and they're going to say, well, Nia Jax is a woman of color and she just won. Well, but look at the history of Nia Jax as a women's champion. We're talking about the World Championship. Her first run was the WWE Raw Women's Championship, and it was only 70 days. Now, a lot of these time periods where I'm going to talk about the length of the run is during a time period where the length wasn't as important as it is today. Today, people's minimum title reigns be 150 to 270 days and things of that nature. But if you really think about Nia Jax and the lore of Nia Jax and how dominant she was, to be a champion for only 70 days for the first reign is kind of nasty. And then the second reign is her best reign, in my opinion, not just because of how long she had the title, but because of the significance of what she was doing in that title reign as the women's world champion. But think about this, bro. Nia Jax, even as a Samoan, like, she should have way more titles. Since y'all say that, the Samoan family be eating and they get everything that they want, would you argue that? But outside of Tamina, someone who's never held a world championship, by the way, isn't Nia Jax like getting a short end of the stick with that family? And I just want to get that's not my strongest example. I just want to get that out the way because I know people are going to bring that up because people, want to be argumentative. But let's go to another one. Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks is a very interesting case study, in my opinion. One of the greatest of all time, definitely ranked top five. But her as a world champion in WWE was the most puzzling couple of runs I've ever seen. I'm happy that they finally got it right with the last run, the SmackDown Women's Championship run, where she lost to Bianca Belair, where she lost to the right person. But if you really go back and look at her runs, when she was trading the belt with Charlotte Flair, absolutely nasty, absolutely disgusting work. Even though Charlotte Flair was on the other end of that exchange, Charlotte Flair came out on top in the end because then she went on to have way more world championship runs. Where Sasha Banks' most significant run in WWE, you can argue, if not the SmackDown Women's Championship run, is the NXT run. Because really look in between at those Raw Women's Championship runs are ticky-tacky as hell, bro. Like seriously. 20 days, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Then she got the 34 days. Then she finally became the SmackDown Women's Champion. And that was a great run, in my opinion. But look at this, bro. From 2016. Look at this. She didn't have a significant reign with a women's championship until 2022. Absolutely nasty, bro. If you ask Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, I'm almost positive she would say her best run as a champion is the AEW TBS champion. Maybe she'll say the New Japan title, but it's no way possible she could say, and that's not being bitter, it's just facts. There's no way possible that Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné would say that WWE was her best championship run. This is disrespectful. 'Cause at the end of the day, the Alexa Blisses, the Charlotte Flairs, hell, the Becky Lynches had more significant runs than Sasha Banks. And y'all gonna say this is a character issue. Sasha Banks is not the only Naomi. Her first run as SmackDown Women's Champion was 9 days. Her first run as SmackDown Women's Champion was 9 days. Then, when she finally had a good run with the SmackDown Women's Championship the second time, she had 140 days, which is sensational. But isn't this during the time period also where she got in trouble? Now, I'm going off of what they said. That could have been part of a storyline for Total Divas, blah, blah, blah. Where she got in trouble for showing up with the title with her own design, which was a great design, the glow on the championship belt. So it was already tainted. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me that someone of Naomi's caliber, who was right there with them, who was coming through the same era as them, was doing the funkadactyls, funkadel, whatever the hell, doing all that nonsense. Did the team bad stuff, right? She's only a two-time world champion in WWE. She's only a two-time world champion in WWE. It is not a thing of talent. She had the talent, she had the charisma. Look at her skills now with the promo. She always had stuff like that in her bag, bro. Never given the opportunity to run with the ball. Bianca Belair is such a special case because she had the opportunity to get the ball and run with it. Vince McMahon just saw something in her specifically that he didn't see in the rest of these women, but the rest of these women ain't no scrubs, bro. Even Nia Jax. Even Nia Jax didn't really get the opportunity to get the ball and run with it. That was during the Triple H era. What did Vince McMahon ever really give? Vince McMahon made Nia Jax say, my hole. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the Latinas in a second. And by the way, I'm not arguing with nobody in this video who's black, who's this, who's that. Mercedes Moné's father is African American, her mother is German. I'm not arguing about that. Please, I'm not in the mood for that today. Oh no, this person's biracial. If you stop it. Her and Bianca Belair were the first two black women to headline WrestleMania. Black women. Okay? Biracial, you still black, bro. You still black, bro. So I'm not doing this with y'all today. And that's why I brought up Nia Jax as well. And it's not just black, it's about because when I bring up Bailey, a lot of people are going to say, relax, Bailey is a Latina. Yes, yes, she is. And I'm about to bring them up in a second. And Nia Jax is a woman of color. Yes. Samoan people are people of color. Yes. Yes. What are they then if they not? No? Okay, whatever. Look at the title holders history. I bring this up because Bianca Belair, even though she did have that long title reign, she still had a rough spot, and that rough spot was the second time she's a three-time champion, right? Raw Women's Champion, no, SmackDown Women's Champion first, Raw Women's Champion, and then when she lost that belt and she won it in that triple threat match against Charlotte and Asuka, she only had that belt for a minute and 35 seconds. She got cashed in on. So if you really think about it, even that's ticky that don't really count, bro. Like that, like you was champion for 1 minute. So even with that, you could still argue that the SmackDown Women's Championship run and the Raw Women's Championship run was still like the best. But it's just even at that time, bro, like that's something that's a stain for me for Bianca Belair because to this day now, that was in 2023, we're in 2025. Do you guys see a world where Bianca Belair goes, Bianca Belair has a women's championship before 2026? I don't see it, especially now she's on break. I see, I have hope in Jade Cargill or Naomi that they can do it, but I'm a little worried, guys. And representation isn't a issue of I'm not a guy who just put the person in because they're black or they're a woman of color. But like look at this lineup, right? If it wasn't for Bailey, not I could bring if it wasn't for Bailey, you would have never had a Latina women's world champion in WWE since when? Melina? I thought Eve Torres was. Eve Torres is Swedish in Austria. She mixed with a whole bunch of stuff. Bailey is the only Latina. Look at the list. Look at the list. Look at the list. This is the Raw Women's Championship, WWE Women's Championship. Look at the list. Look at the list. Look at the list. Look at the list. There hasn't been a prominent Latina women's wrestler to hold a world championship in WWE besides Bailey since Melina, essentially, right? Someone else might have held it out was mixed with something and I didn't know, but from what I'm looking at, it's only Bailey. And we have great Latina women's wrestlers. I thought Raquel Rodriguez was going to be the one to really take over that scene and really propel herself to becoming one of the great Latina women's wrestlers. But think about the history of great Latina women's wrestlers. It's just it's I'm talking about great like out of this world, like out of worldly. Bailey is at the top essentially, right? Right? Is Lita is Lita? I don't know if she is Lita. If not. Melina, talking about great, not just good. Because Zelina Vega is really, really good, but she's never been a world champion. Might not be a world champion in WWE. This makes me think about the future. Is Lola Vice going to be the one? Instead, Stephanie Valkyria being the one would be sensational. Being the one to be a prominent women's world champion that, and then people know for a fact that she's a Latina. So because people didn't know Bailey, people thought Bailey was just a white woman with a nice shape. But Bailey, yes, Bailey is a Latina. She's from San Francisco. She's of Latina descent. Because she's the only prominent Latina on the list. I think women of color are in a weird situation. I mean, the men have dealt with this as well. Don't ask me when the last time a black man was the world champion. Was it Big E? Because he won it after Bobby Lashley, if I'm not mistaken, right? But I think the women are in trouble. I think the women are in trouble because I don't see Bailey winning again anytime soon. That might have been her last run ever. No exaggeration. She might go to AEW. Bianca Belair is a tricky one. I think it's very much possible that 2026 beyond she could win it. But Jade Cargill and Naomi, I'm worried about because I don't want them being in a feud to overtake their desire to be the women's world champion storyline wise. Like if Naomi qualified for Money in the Bank, I could see her winning it. Jade Cargill qualified for Money in the Bank, I could see her winning it, or just beating Tiffany Stratton straight up. But I don't want to get into a scenario where someone like a Jade Cargill or a Naomi beats Tiffany Stratton straight up and then somebody else cashes in and then take them out. I swear to you, I can see a scenario where if it's Naomi that wins the Money in the Bank, she successfully cashes in, but Jade Cargill comes out. No, Naomi is just going straight up against Tiffany for the belt or whatever the case may be. She wins. Jade Cargill comes out and beat up on Naomi, or Bianca Belair come out beat up on Naomi, leave Naomi decimated as she has the championship. Then whoever the Money in the Bank holder is comes out and cashes in on Naomi successfully, and Naomi was only the champion for like a couple of minutes. I swear I can see that. And even with Jade Cargill, I can see that. Like I said, I'm not picking bums and scrubs who I think should be the women's world champion just because they're black or they're Latina. Does Naomi not, after the great work Naomi's done, Naomi has helped elevate Jade Cargill with this feud. Jade Cargill and Naomi had a good match at WrestleMania. Does Naomi at least not deserve a women's world championship? And if not Naomi, Jade Cargill is someone you invested hella money in, you brought over, build her up as a big star, have Bianca Belair handicap herself. Not saying that Jade Cargill was a hindrance to Bianca Belair, but Bianca Belair didn't need to be a women's tag team champion. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley could have both been in the same position and running the company as the Rock and Stone Cold of the women's division. But Rhea Ripley got to run with the ball. Rhea Ripley don't got a tag team with nobody. Rhea Ripley not in a tag team with Jordan Grace, bringing up Jordan Grace right now. Bianca Belair had to do all that, and now she's taking a break. Hopefully, she comes back and goes after the women's championship. But now, you mean to tell me after all that, you're not going to just put the ball in Jade Cargill's hands and let her run with the ball, let her make the plays? Why not? You put her in that position for a reason. Should Jade Cargill and just all that investment? She's still green. She's still, bro. She's been here for years now. Like, what are we doing now? I don't care if she was blue. Give her the ball. Let her see how the crowd reacts. Let her put her in matches with people that have a skill set that are beneficial to someone like a Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill and Naomi had a pretty good match. I think Jade Cargill and Liv Morgan had a pretty good match. I think a long-term feud with Jade Cargill and Nia Jax might actually work out. And I do think Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton could have something magical. Because styles make fights. Tiffany Stratton Charlotte Flair match wasn't that great, but stylistically, if Tiffany Stratton has to do most of the acrobat work and she has to go against someone who's the opposite archetype, I think her and Jade Cargill would have a very decent match. Raquel Rodriguez should have been the one. She should have been the next world champion to represent the Latino women. The World Championship and women of color. The World Championship feels like it's a belts that will elude women of color unless it's the perfect woman or the perfect opportunity. And you can argue that that's the case for every championship reign. No, Charlotte Flair has been given the belt where it wasn't the perfect opportunity for her. I feel like Becky Lynch getting the belt after Rhea Ripley had to go off because she was hurt or either she was really hurt or she got married, whatever the case may be, was not the perfect opportunity for Becky Lynch because they ended up putting on Liv Morgan anyway. I feel like the Io Sky situation now has worked out because hindsight is 2020, but when they put the belt on Io Sky, that didn't seem like the perfect situation. Io Sky's not a cherry pick, by the way. Io Sky earned that belt and she's doing a great job, but you know what I'm saying? That wasn't the perfect situation. That was an audible, in my opinion, because they were just gonna do Rhea versus Bianca straight up, but they still don't know where they want to go with that. They don't know who they want to come out on top, and they don't know who is the real face of the company, which come on. Bianca Belair should be, but the crowd is starting to sway that argument. You know what I'm saying? Nikki ASH, I'm happy she got the belt, but you know what I'm saying? She had to turn to a cartoon character to become the Money in the Bank. Like look at this, guys. Like look at all this, right? You let Ronda Rousey come in and have the belt for 230 days, but Nia Jax only had a 70-day title reign. That is nasty. Then look at the reigns. Ronda Rousey had that for 230. Becky Lynch had it for over a year. Then Oscar, even though, I'm just saying, Oscar only had it for 70 days. Sasha Banks only had it for 34 days. Are you kidding me? And this is a time where having long title reigns wasn't a big deal, but even so, 400 days essentially, 230 days essentially. But Sasha Banks 34 days. Even Rhea Ripley's 98 days. Still better than 34. This that's the greatest title reign for a woman of color ever. And it's not because of how long it was. Bianca Belair was putting in work during that. She was coming out on top in matches where I was like, yo, I just know she about to lose this match. I just know she about to lose. Yo, Bianca Belair was going crazy, bro. And like this isn't a complaining session. This is a constructive criticism and business session. Like I said, this is about earning your keep. This is about earning your right. This is about putting in the work. Naomi has put in the work. Naomi should be the next women's world champion. You could let Io Sky keep the belt, keep having the reign. She don't need to get cashed in on. Tiffany Stratton needs to get cashed in on. And Naomi and Io Sky should be champions at the same time. Then you decide if you want Jade Cargill to take that belt off of her. If not, you have Jade Cargill beat Tiffany Stratton, and whoever got the briefcase. Do not cash in on Jade Cargill immediately. Let Jade Cargill have a little reign with that. It don't got to be a long reign because I am tired of these 200-day reigns. That is a bunch of nothingness. Jade Cargill with a 70-day reign wouldn't be nasty if she had a championship match every month, at least once a month, until she lost the belt. Because here's the thing about the Sasha Banks 20-day reigns, right? It was 20-day reigns where sometimes there weren't even matches, they were just segments. And then when she had the match, she lost the belt to Charlotte. So in the span of that 20 days, you could still do something, but she didn't even might not have been matches there. Like it's like the Jey Uso title reign. Nigga was just doing this as the IC champion. They didn't give him matches all the time during that 3 week span, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. I feel like he didn't wrestle every week when he was the IC champion. And then when he finally did wrestle, he lost the motherfucker. I don't know, man. I just think they probably don't pay attention to stuff like this. Obviously, I want you to pick the best person for the job. I do think Naomi's the best person for the job. On the other end, for Io Sky's end, I would go with someone if somebody from SmackDown doesn't win the women's championship, I would go with a Roxanne Perez or a Liva Valkyria or Raw doesn't really have a lot of contenders in my opinion. But you got to go with somebody that's like that. I'm not going Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley could actually gain to benefit of not being the women's world champion right now and building back her profile as just a fan favorite. Because then when she does win the world championship, it'll be even more impactful, and you could shut up the people saying Rhea Hogan. But somebody like a somebody like a Roxanne Perez because Lyra's already the IC champion. Roxanne Perez were to win the Money in the Bank and cash in on Io, that would take Roxanne to another level. And then you have your Latina right there, your Latina representation, right? It's tough though, man. It's very tough, man. It's very tough, man. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling, I'm complaining, but I think I'm valid in saying that like look at the plight that we've had with the men. Not no black men on, PLEs. Then when the black men Street Profits do win the tag team championships, they're not even defending them on WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's very off-putting from that standpoint. And now look at the women where, the women were holding the tag team championships, right? And the women were having these feuds not for the belts, and they were both Bianca and Jade, Bianca and Naomi. Their tag team reign was good. Jade, Bianca, Naomi saga was a pretty good build up, and it didn't drag on too long, and we got the answers at a good time, and it was good. Now it's time for the payoff. Those people went and earned the right for us fans to say that these women should be the world champion. Then why you bringing up race then? Because that's a commonality in everything that I'm saying. What is the commonality that these are women of color who've had shitty, I'll say it, who 4 out of 5 times have had shitty, short title reigns. Bianca Belair has the best title reign out of every woman that I listed. Not just for length, but significance as well. And how she won. She won it. She won, and how she did her both the title reign. She won the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania as the main event, as the first black woman to main event WrestleMania with another black woman. The Raw one, one of the longest reigns ever for women's champions. If not, is it the longest? I gotta look into that. Y'all let me know if Bianca Belair has the longest reign. Because I know Becky Lynch's reign was 399. I don't know if anyone has a longer reign than that in WWE. Because I know Athena obviously is the Ring of Honor champion. And I didn't bring up Ember Moon slash Athena because if you look at what Ring of Honor is today, now I would say it's not developmental like NXT, but it's not the third, it's not the second brand for AEW. Ring of Honor, and if NXT is developmental, which is still developmental, yes. If NXT is developmental, Ring of Honor is the exposure brand. And what I mean by that is when Athena comes to the main roster, she'll come to the main roster as the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion, not just women's champion, the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion ever, and that'll give her more exposure to the fans. Even with her just coming back to face Mercedes Moné, the fans were exposed to Athena, right? Sammy Guevara went back and changed his image, being a babyface with Dustin Rhodes. When he come back, people are going to welcome Sammy Guevara with open arms, which is what they're doing right now. When Cesaro was Ring of Honor World Champion, that was to help bring her back to the forefront, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So really, if it's not a developmental of new, younger talent, it's a farming system for talent to get over as soon as they get back on AEW's roster. And so, in my case, the Ring of Honor Championship in AEW today is not what the Ring of Honor Championship. It's not a world championship, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. It's not. It's not. It's like the NXT championship. That's why I can't even bring up Ember Moon's NXT run. And that's another one who never got a world championship on the main roster. She could have been Raw Women's Champion on the main roster. Ember Moon was super duper over, right? She essentially, in my opinion, got the Oscar treatment her first year on the Raw main roster because I think it was Raw that she debuted on, if I'm not mistaken. She was having good matches, she was winning matches, but when it was time to get the big one, she couldn't get the big one. Didn't have a real opportunity to get the big one. You knew she wasn't winning the main championship for the women. You just knew it. Raquel Rodriguez barely had the opportunity. Zelina Vega had the opportunity one time, and that would have been a monumental moment to win in Puerto Rico. Even if she gave the belt right back, but it wasn't for Bailey, we would never have a women's Latina champion, a Latina women's champion since Melina, basically, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I love women's wrestling, all of them, not just the women of color. I love all of them. But I do think the opportunities moving forward should be spread out. You got a prospect in Lash Legend, a prospect in Lola Vice, a prospect in Jada Parker. You got people in Evolve that's looking decent. I think we got to start paying attention to that. Stephanie Valkyrie is a prospect for the Women's World Championship. She would look sensational with the Women's World Championship. Somebody like Julia. Well, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna get too much. I've talked about Japanese women in wrestling already in their own video, but yeah, man. That's just my opinion though. Hope you guys like this video today. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if I'm reaching. If I'm reaching, cool. But this is just my opinion. And it doesn't need to have an argument in the comment section. It's just my opinion. So, you know what I'm saying? I would like to see, women of color get more opportunities at the World Championship and for it to be consistent and not take 5 years, 3 years. Because before Nia Jax, that's when Bianca Belair had it. Bianca Belair was in 2023. Nia Jax got it in 2024, even though really it felt like a 2025 run more than anything in my opinion. But before Bianca Belair, she dethroned Sasha Banks, you know what I'm saying? For the Smackdown. So before it was for Bianca Belair, we was in a drought, low key. But for Sasha Banks, we was in a drought, low key. So yeah, let me know what y'all think, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for love support as always. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Don't mean to stir up no problems, no controversy. I just want to have a conversation with you. Peace.